So we're reaching now to our last roundtable, and I am delighted to have Viorel PECA with us. As you may know, this event was a part of many events that happened this week under the high patronage of the European Commission. And I'll leave the floor maybe to you, Viorel, so you can present yourself and explain what you do for deep tech companies and French deep tech companies as well.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here. My name is Viorel PECA. I'm head of unit of transition at EIC, European Innovation Council, and I will start right away. And I'm curious to know how many of you are familiar with EIC? Okay, I see quite some hands. Thank you very much. How many of you that are familiar with EIC are familiar, for example, with EIC transition? Rings a bell? A bit less. That's what I thought. So, hang on. I would like to give you a bit of an. Unfortunately, I see the slides are not starting in the right order. Yeah, but I will compensate. So EIC basically has three main compartments. From Pathfinder at a lower TRL, you know, and then we have transition at a mid TRL and accelerator. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with accelerator because, yeah, it's the biggest compartment. So all these three compartments, they implement the EIC vision from idea to the market. So really, we are following, and I make the link with previous speaker about the TRL. So the Pathfinder TRL1 ending up with accelerator at TRL 9. All these three compartments are supported by what we call the business acceleration services. Why? Because we are convinced that money are, of course, necessary, even in case of deep tech, a lot of money, but they are not sufficient. So we are providing all of them with business acceleration services, or BAS for short. We start with what we call skills, training, for example, then we move to contacts, for example, as we do soft landing, and then, of course, help them with contacts or contracts, where, for example, like trade fairs, like companies, innovation procurement, and so on and so on. We are here, and it's part of our collaboration with BPI, as part of our tech-to-market business acceleration services, which is, if you want, part of the BUS, but they are dedicated to early stage what we call early stage beneficiary, and I make here the link with the first roundtable. We are working mostly with researchers that want to see the result of their research to the market. And the Tech to Market bus, that we have basically two main blocks. One we call entrepreneurship program, where we are doing trainings to start with, like introductory trainings. Then we have our pioneer program. We do really more in-depth program. And we have even a sort of I-Corps-like program for the one of you that are aware about the I-Corps. And then second leg is a venture building program, which we get with our partner Collider, because we want to give to researchers the choice. And perhaps this is a nice idea also to help BPI, because certain researchers, especially the PhD, wants to start their own company, but some of them may not. And then it's good to offer them the opportunity to get in contact with the entrepreneurs. So now, finally, let me go to my slide here. This is simplifying a bit the transition component, where we are starting at this TRL 3 and 4, or 4, not less than that, and we are maturing the technology. That's why we call the technology track, but we are also maturing the business. And the whole goal is to finish at this TRL 6, and I was really happy to hear the previous speaker saying that at this TRL, the investors are starting, the private investors are starting to be interested, because, of course, a certain amount of risk has been reduced. But what kind of differentiate the transition, and why you should be interested to invest into transition projects, and quite a few of them, will pitch them in a few minutes, is that from the beginning we have attracted high caliber researcher, and I'm sure you are familiar with Anne Huillet, which is one of our 3 Nobel Prize winners that applied to the transition, actually the only one who got a transition project, which shows how selective we are. And I know that, you know, selecting your investment, it's a big part of your time. So partnering with us and investing in the EIC project and supported companies, you will be sure that we have a very rigorous selection process. Another example that I want to give to you, if the slides move, is the Q-Dot company, and it's the first one that implements this idea to the market, because they started in 2016 with the Pathfinder, they went to the transition, and this year they are starting the accelerator when they got a 10 million blended finance, so 2.5 million plus 10 million of equity. That, you know, you can imagine if you would have invested in Q-Dot in 2022, for example, now for sure the valuation would increase drastically. Now, another example of one of our beneficiaries, Kilimanjaro, part of the transition projects that you see on the screen, was declared at Mobile World Congress earlier this year. They won the pitch competition as the best startup pitching at the Mobile World Congress and it's a startup in the quantum area, of course, a very hot domain. And then I would like to give another example, which I'm sure sounds familiar with you, the Switch energy company, which is a transition beneficiary, and then they closed a 25 million series, and their pilot factory on the Rhone Delta is under construction and will very soon deliver up to 500 megawatts of clean energy using the osmotic energy. That means the difference between salty water and sweet water, and this will be with zero emissions. So. And then my final example here, it's in the health domain, an Envision, and you see a bit how important is the public investment. The basis of the success of Envision, which raised last year $30 million, was put in 2011. With our money in 2017, the ILP, they hired their CEO, their first employee in the company, and then finally, they got other project, the Innovation Radar Prize, and all this support, continuous support, no doubt, with their hard work, helped to raise the company. So imagine now for a second that you would have invested in them in 2020. I'm sure that would have been already a nice increase in your valuation. What we see, and this is just my short available time, but we see quite a trend here. And I think this is important because we see that solid projects raise quite some amount of capital at a very early stage, so that they don't have to go to accelerator, for example. And I just give not even the tip of the iceberg kind of examples. And the success factors are, and I think it's fitting very well what was said just a few minutes ago, people, of course, the technology, very solid technology, deep tech technology, and of course a very important market needs that, or market opportunity, depending how you look at it, that is not only solving an issue in France and not even in Europe, but in the whole world. And the fact that so early these type of companies are attracting private capital together with the public one, of course, it's very important because it's shortcutting the innovation cycle. It shows that the innovation process is not linear. And then, of course, this in turn creates competitiveness for Europe, has impact on all our challenges from health to clean tech, but also important for you, it's an important investment opportunity. I think you, as investor, you are, I would call, a prosumers, because of course you are investing, but you are benefiting from this investment. So it's a clear win-win situation. I will stop here, thanking you for your attention in EIC and our beneficiary, and I would like to invite already on the stage the first beneficiary. We have 5 of them from what I call early stage beneficiaries. So the first one will be ILOS Robotic, who will be represented by its CEO, Mr. Pablo Lopez Garcia. Pablo?
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, in the 15th century, Leonardo da Vinci dreamed of a helicopter that engineers needed 500 years to build. And the last piece of the puzzle that those engineers needed to build a helicopter was actually a gearbox. Today, in modern robotics, we have a similar situation. We dream of humanoid robots, exoskeletons, and bionic prostheses that can drastically improve our lives. But practically, when we robotics engineers are done putting all the components that we need in those robots, they are too heavy. And because they're too heavy, they need to move slow to be safe, they are expensive, and they need a lot of energy, so they need large and heavy batteries. Hello, I am Pablo. I'm an experienced car industry manager, and 7 years ago, I joined the robotics research group of the Vrije Universiteit Brussels to develop a gearbox to tackle that problem. Why a gearbox? Because a gearbox is the right place to start when you're trying to reduce the weight of a machine that is moving, and because a robot is, just like Da Vinci's helicopter, a self-carrying machine, which means that if you can reduce its weight, you can use lighter motors and lighter batteries to power it that make the robot even lighter, which means you can use even lighter motors and batteries to make the robot even lighter, and so on. So fast forward in 7 years and 25 prototypes, we now have a patented gearbox technology that allows us to cut the weight, the cost, and the energy need of a robot by a half, making it about 50% faster. Today, we're building our MVP prototypes that will be tested with 5 different customers after the summer, and we're fundraising. We have a lead investor that secures a first million, and we need a second million to be 5,000 of these gearboxes. So if you want to be part of this, please get in touch, and let's shift modern robotics into high gear together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pablo. And Ailos and Pablo will be available in the networking session. And it is my pleasure to invite Kurais and Mr. Shai Magnes, the CEO. The floor is yours for a bit less than 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Shai Magnes. I'm co-founder and CEO of Cruise. I lead a team of 19 human physicists and engineers building an AI physicist, which means I'm also leading a team of thousands of virtual physicists. When we try to build new technologies, hyperpolarized MRI, silicon photonics, quantum computers, etc., many times the device we actually build failed to meet our initial expectations. The resolution in MRI is lower than expected, or the error rates in quantum computers are higher than expected, and the only way around that is to effectively reverse engineer our own device to understand the difference between what we plan to build and what we actually build. And we need to pinpoint the exact physical phenomena that are giving us trouble. Unfortunately, this requires a lot of effort and a lot of highly skilled humans. And I'm sure many of the hardware startups here are dealing with exactly the same issue. Cruise built the AI physicist to solve this problem. With our software, R&D teams get a rapid, detailed insight into what's going on inside their device, what's exactly is going wrong, and they get actionable information on how to fix it. And it all runs fully locally in the lab with no IP leaking to Cruise or anybody else. So our customers enjoy a much accelerated R&D cycle, which is a huge competitive advantage. Now, we validated our solution in multiple labs with multiple technologies, from superconducting qubits to neutral atoms. Our product is in initial commercial rollout in the quantum computing, quantum sensing market. We have a deep sales pipeline, significant market traction, and a co-selling agreement with a leading provider of quantum technologies. We're building a solution for MRI and then silicon photonics, and expanding our addressable market with each additional vertical. Having previously raised a sizable convertible loan and a $2.5 million EIC grant, we're now raising a $4 million seed to close at the end of Q3, which will be matched by non-dilutive government grants. The money will be used to accelerate commercial expansion in quantum and initial commercial rollout in MRI. And I look forward to Zooming with you and telling you more about Cruise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I would like to invite now our next startup, Spin Cloud, represented by Christian Heinhorn, the CEO. Christian, the floor is yours. 2 minutes.
Thank you, PECA. My name is Christian Eichhorn. I'm co-founder and co-CEO of Spin Cloud Systems, and we commercialize brain-inspired supercomputers. That basically this technology is a spin-off not only of the Dresden University of Technology and the University of Manchester, but also from the European flagship Human Brain Project. And we partnered in the course of the project with Steven Ferber. And for those of you who are not familiar with Steven Ferber, he's basically the lead architect of the ARM architecture, which powers all our mobile phones today. And he's also the originator of our unique architecture. Why brain inspiration? Because the brain is very energy efficient. It's just consumes 20 watts to do very amazing things. It's very robust. And it has the ability to reason. And it's exactly the problems that current AI is facing. So ChatGPT is very energy inefficient, it hallucinates, and it's not able to reason. And what we are using, we are tackling different verticals, so drug discovery, complex optimization, and constraint satisfaction, quantum emulation, but also we are active in the defense space. So we currently announced our partnership with Sandia National Labs, basically the largest national lab in the US, which basically were responsible for the Manhattan Project. So they are familiar with emerging technologies. And they say that our architecture is the most natural and flexible supercomputer architecture on the market, and they will use it to build the next generation of nuclear deterrence systems. And they partnered for the first time with a European startup, because no Intel, no NVIDIA company can serve the problems they want to tackle. So thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much, Christian. Very exciting, and they are looking for 6 million. So I would like to invite Anne-Marie, and Anne-Marie, please take a phone from Grove. The floor is yours, Anne-Marie.
Thank you. The first digital computers were made of vacuum tubes. If we would still make our computers like this today, our phones would be the size of a skyscraper. But the invention of the transistor marked a turning point, kickstarting the semiconductor industry and making our phones fit in our pocket. Silicon Valley was born. But did you know that the first transistors were not made of silicon, but of germanium? Germanium has superior quality, but at the time was more difficult to process. Today, these difficulties have been overcome, and germanium is back, now in the form of rapidly scaling quantum processing power. My name is Anne-Marie Zwerver, and I'm here to represent Groove Quantum. The world is hungry for quantum computers because they promise to solve demanding challenges. Current progress by reputable players have been impressive, demonstrating around 100 qubits. However, for their chips, they rely on materials that are inherently non-scalable to the millions of qubits that are needed for practical quantum computation, simply due to their, again, massive size. With Groove Quantum, we're using the advantages of germanium to scale to the millions of qubits that are needed for practical quantum computation. The germanium qubit is based on the transistor, and this synergy with the developments in the semiconductor industry makes our chips small and makes that we can scale faster with additional robustness and at lower cost. Recently, germanium has gained traction in the field. Yet, as we demonstrated our first qubit in 2018 and recently reached 10 qubits and 99.99% fidelity, we have a 4-year head start, and we have the key people and IP. With the excellent and pioneering Groove team, we are sprouting from QTech, a world-leading quantum institute in Delft, and we're closely connected to the Delft quantum ecosystem. Moreover, we're the beneficiary of a 2.5 million EIC grant, and now we are ready to scale. Our next key step is the demonstration of the exceptional scalability of our qubits through the fabrication of these qubits on existing semiconductor pilot lines, allowing us to go to 100 qubits in the coming 2 years. For this, we're looking for a funding round of 8 million euros. Do you want to join our journey? Come by and see how we are pioneering the Germanium Valley.
Thank you, absolutely amazing. And it's my great pleasure to invite the last but not least startup from EIC. The floor is yours, Alfonso.
Thanks a lot. So MRI is a magical solution to perform medical imaging. I'm sure that many of you have already had the experience to pass through those big donuts, and as well the bad experience to wait for it, because even in a highly developed country like France, you have to wait on average in between 1 month and 2 months to perform the image by itself. Why? because MRI requires a very high intensity magnetic field in between 1 Tesla and 3 Teslas with an associated cost of 1 million and 3 million. So those devices are extremely expensive, extremely big, very hard to deploy. It does require specific civil installations. In Fisio MRI, we do capitalize the experience working with the main research center like the Spanish Institute for Medical Imaging or Leiden University in Leiden. We have developed a game changer, a small MRI which is portable, which is the size of a washing machine that you can plug into the standard grid. It consumes only 1 kilowatt, and we do apply for the musculoskeletal market, which means 30% of the global market of MRI, growing at 2 digits every year. And our product is fully ready. We have already passed the clinical trial. We have already passed more than 100 patients in La Fe Hospital. We have even our own factory in place. And our team is a senior team in all the specific tasks of the company. We have backup so far. We have been backed up by the EAC in the research and development stages with a pathfinder and a transition, and with our own stakeholders, which are key opinion leaders in this domain, like Dr. Luis Martí Bonmatí, who has been the president of the European Association for Radiologists, and for instance, the sport NBA player Luis Escola. So we are seeking for 5 million in order to scale up, to produce the first 100 units, and to become a unicorn. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Alfonso. And I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, will recognize themselves that we had to wait for weeks and weeks and even go to another city. So like I say, success factor, solving big issue. Thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed our 5 companies from EIC. There are many more, so I hope you will look for them and ask for more detail. Thank you very much, and looking forward.
Thank you very much. So this brings to an end our roundtables. Just a quick reminder, we're going to have now the pitching sessions that are going to start. So you've got sustainable, digital, industry, and health tech. So I'll let you all go where you need to go. And then my colleagues will take it from there to get it started. We have the networking session just afterwards, and we have the cocktail at 7 p.m. for even more networking. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you later.